Hello, hello. Nice to see you here. Welcome. It's been a while, and I'm really glad to be back again. So lots to do. So, oh, for goodness sake, new version available. It's always the way. So yeah, lots to do. Eamon, nice to see you, and Matty and Luke and Miller. Nice to see you. So. Yeah, what did I want to cover? So I pushed some stuff to Nuxt recently, which was a Jan, Happy New Year. Nice to see you. Namely some debug plugins, and we're going to use those. We're going to use those today. Actually, I haven't used them on this computer. I did them on my laptop, and hopefully it's going to work. So just installing my latest dependencies, and I'm going to run debug prepare, I think was the command. Yeah, and that's basically going to enable this flag, which is going to enable some useful stuff, hopefully. And good evening, sir, whoever you are. So let's see. I have a feeling this actually might be, this might be broadcasting to Twitter as well, which is not my knowledge. But anyway, okay. So now if we run something like, I'll open the playground, and just set it to turn itself off as soon as it starts, basically. So once the Vite build is complete, we'll simply exit. Now if I run the playground, that's something else I was debugging. That should, why is that not running? Oh, that's weird. What's going on in the browser? Let's see. Localhost 3000, still starting. Let's try that one more time. Let's try the no fork thing. Yeah, okay, that's what I'm expecting. Except I'm expecting some stuff to be printed out. So I would want to see... Oh. I think I have to remove the... Why did this not make it in? That is right. Okay. I need to run this command. Okay. Debug dev, playground. That just clears Jitty's cache, and basically what we're doing. This is really weird. Oh, it tells me not to try these things, just to assume these things without testing. Because like this is I'm just going to reinstall. Because this is basically, I've been doing this on my laptop. It works totally fine, so I don't quite know why it's not working here. The animation is nice, isn't it? Like, look at that. It's simpler, a lot hopefully cleaner. Yeah, I like it. It's been merged in the main branch for ages. We've been so ready to release version 4, so we've had all these things in place from June, basically. So, okay, let's run the debug prepare step again. And let's just check that is in fact, it has done its thing. So basically what this step does is it adds a Babel plugin. So to the kit, to any stubbed module in the Nuxt monorepo, it adds this Babel plugin, which I wrote recently, and it basically aims to add some timing data. So we should be able to do something like, run this, and it should basically print some timing data for us, but it's not. I might need to, let's disable Jitty cache, see if that makes a difference. Yeah, okay. So it's something to do with Jitty's cache, and for whatever reason, this command isn't doing it. Oh, Let me just try running it manually. Playground, node modules, cache. Huh. How about node modules, cache? No. Anyway, so there's a JIT cache somewhere. Should work fine now, I think. If I'm running just disabling it. It will also make it slower to start. Like if you don't have a cache, then every import is going to be an extra cost. But we do anyway see what the numbers are. The snow effect actually isn't implemented in Nuxt 4's loading template. It's only for Nuxt 3. Okay, so this data here, it shows us the things that take the longest time, and also the things that are the top functions on average, because actually something might take long time, but it's only called once. Like load Nuxt here is called twice. Well, we can see why is it called twice. Probably only needs to be called once. And then we can also just take a look at some of these other things. The load Nuxt might be a quick one to improve. The numbers might also be slightly different if we don't fork the process. So still called twice. It generally is a little bit slower. So we're looking at maybe removing forking entirely. Processing template, that's taking a fair amount of time, and that is probably something we need to investigate as our top priority. But notice the difference here. This is 3660 versus 1613. So it takes twice as long when it's not forked. And that's something to check. So all of this is maybe useful. And add component is taking a lot of time too. So first, I was checking something the other day, and I worried that I might have caused like a regression in terms of speed. So I'm going to switch back to here. I thought maybe one of these two changes might have made things slower. So we're going to run no fork, just do a very, very quick. Oh, and we won't do the playground. That will also be super fast. I'll run it against the basic fixture, which also needs to have a close hook wired up. So that basically just needs this to be pasted in down here. Cool. And let's just do it some timings there, and then check out the previous version and make sure that there have been no regressions. Okay, so I'm going to grab I'm going to grab all of this stuff here. And I'm going to paste it in a little, I do this sometimes. I'm just going to create a new file. I'm going to save this as snapshot. We are going to call it, I guess markdown is fine. Okay, so we have got our snapshot. And then I'm going to, whoops, let's run that one more time. Interesting. I got my snapshot, and I'm just going to paste that back in here as a snapshot, right? So it's telling me, well, that is taking a crazy amount of time. How is that possible? Oh, I guess because we don't have this JIT cache, maybe. Nice to see you, Martin. Oh, that's awful. Okay, let's go back to, I just want to check that I didn't cause an unintended regression. Basically, I think with this one, that would be the most likely one that would cause it. Because I was checking every one before that. Let's check out here and try one more time. I think that by far the greatest possible culprit to the time compared to what I'm used to seeing is the fact that I've disabled JIT cache. Okay, so I've just snapshotted that, and I'm just going to paste this in. You can also, by the way, if you haven't come across it, you can arbitrarily diff files in VS Code. So you can just compare new untitled text files. which is actually probably a better thing to do, but you can also compare the file with clipboard, etc. So these are quite useful things. Martin, nice to see you. So if I have a look at the difference here, which is what I'm interested in. So I see that generate app, resolve pages routes, largely speaking, not a lot has changed. Init Nuxt is still around 3 seconds. It makes sense it's actually a bit faster previously. Resolve pages routes called twice, both times. The average time, we see a bit of movement on write file and install module, but nothing to speak of. Oh, write file is a lot longer this time than in the other one, but I'm not sure that's that significant. Okay, so there's some stuff. Hey, Tick from Paris, welcome. Okay, so there's some stuff to optimize. Now, looking at that snapshot, sorry, but I think probably there hasn't been a regression, so I'm just switching back to main. So let's see what we can do to optimize things. So we're looking at resolve pages routes takes a long time, and we also have, let's see, init Nuxt. We need to figure out. Yes. So if we call Nuxt dev, I think it probably starts a version of Nuxt. Whoops. Starts one version of Nuxt. Let's see. Load Nuxt. We create a dev proxy. Which do we load Nuxt at any point? Why is it happening twice is what I'm trying to find out. So we have dev. Yeah. We load it in the dev server. Maybe there's a... Hey, well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. If it's a compliment. Okay. Okay, there's something to look at there. But for the moment, I want to keep this in actually just Nuxt itself rather than, because there's so much that we obviously could be looking at. And I will take some time out there. Okay, so the process template is taking a while, and I think it's because of process pages routes. I think. So let's just confirm that. If I were to change this and just return nothing, then let's see if that changes the process template time, which is currently 1.5. By the way, this is not actually real timings. If you re-enable the Jitty cache, it's much faster, but just not accurate. And where's the Jitty cache capped? Oh, it's temp, isn't it? Where's Jitty? Okay, let's see. Jitty. Cache or temporary directory Jitty. So let's try that. Is that a directory? Okay. And what was the other one? It's looking for it in node modules cache Jitty. So it must be. Hey, Sebren. This is why I asked. Where is it going to be? So. Okay. Let's try removing that. Because it would be nicer not to have to not to have to disable the Jitty cache. Okay, let's try that one more time. Let's see if it works. No. The great thing, Luke, for roll down, it's just about roll down needs to be adopted in Vite. We'll probably adopt OXC for some of our parsing sooner than that. But at the end of the day, roll down is a dependency of Vite. roll up is a dependency of Vite and not of Nuxt. So it's not really for Nuxt to adopt it. Okay, so what is this? Anyway, I'm going to ignore the arbitrary high numbers because this is slower than it should be. But let's just see. Okay, so yeah, so basically that has totally changed process template from, what was it? Crazy high times to a much slower. This is also, I just don't, let's not use stub mode at all. So we're going to build our project instead, because this is just not accurate. We're going to do debug build. Julian, nice to see you. Yeah, once it's in Vite, it should just work. It might even be possible to test out the roll down beforehand. Someone opened an issue about it. So if there are things we can do in Nuxt to make it easier to test roll down, I'm pretty keen. Omar, nice to see you. Okay, let's try this again. So let's try, this is actually with a built version, so it should also log everything, but these are accurate numbers rather than okay. So we see a high init Nuxt, but it's, I think, probably a lot faster. So if I now undo our early return, and I just run pnpm filter Nuxt build, and we should pass the environment variable, and try that. Thank you, Elif. Hello, Casper. Nice to see you. Okay, so now this is going to take a lot longer. Okay, this is actually a lot longer, but it's still quite okay. So these are the things that we can optimize. So let's look at the timings here. So number of calls and time that it's taking. Soriel, nice to see you. The stats table. This is a PR that I pushed to Nuxt. This one, add debug timing, Jitty and unbuild plugin. So it basically adds some very, very hacky code to time, to time and then log out the calls of functions in Nuxt. So what this does, when I build it with this, so I can either use Jitty to do a Babel plugin, or I have a rollup plugin. So I produce both, basically the same. There's a Babel plugin and this is an unbuild plugin. And what it does is it generates code that looks like this. So it has, I wrote some code to capture the stack trace, to identify what was the caller of the function. We set some global calls, timings, and callers options. And exactly. And then we basically, once like in every function that's called, we register that it was called. We mark how long it took, like this. And then we also mark who called it. So we can track like what is calling these things, which is mostly a very, very useful thing if you're trying to optimize a function. Like, how can we reduce the number of calls is the first thing to do. And then you can also make each call of it faster. Okay, so and so like it's a like the thing here, load Nuxt. I'm expecting that takes some time, right? Although I don't know why it's being called twice. So it's being called by the dev server, which means that the dev server is loading it twice. So the dev server is here. This is in the load function. Okay, so the load function is clearly being called once, and then it's being called again. So let's see, what is causing it to load, and then why is it being called again? So we have load, and then is that being called? Is the restart function explicitly being called? Maybe. Let's see. Okay, let's investigate. So we're investigating this. Why is it called twice? And do I see it being reloaded? I do not see it being reloaded. So it's probably, oh, let's try that one more time. No, so I'm rebuilding because I'm wanting to get as close as possible to the final code. So this isn't using the jitty mode. Okay, so rebuilt, and I am expecting, yeah, resolve pages where it's going to take longer. Load Nuxt. Okay, let's figure out a little bit more about why this is being called twice. Interesting. It says it's being called by _load and by load. So this isn't Nuxt, this is entirely here. So load okay, what is assigning it? So only this is assigning current Nuxt. And okay, let's just add a little bit of logging here. So Nuxt CLI dist index, and we're going to open up the dev command, and this is going to run this create dev server command here, and let's just check how many times it's called, right? And like where is this happening? Joaquin, if I didn't say so, it's nice to see you. Okay, so it's being called once, but load Nuxt is being called twice. Okay, which is great. It's not here. So instead, we're going to go into this other chunk, and we have this create dev server. We're creating the dev server, which is good. And at some point, we're calling this load. Oh, so we have load debounced, interestingly. Interesting. I bet that's why. Okay, so we're going to call, we're actually going to just pop this in here like this, because I'm doing a bit of extra logging. And we're going to say, oh, it's going to need some args. So, okay, we're just going to say load debounced. And then load is going to call, and we're going to say load reload reason. Okay, so we're going to try that and just see, again, we're just doing a little bit of exploratory logging. So we are logging reload. I'm expecting that, but weirdly, it's only happening once. So is this happening more than once? So let's try that. So we have got, now it might be that this isn't actually happening a second time. It might be that it's happening because we exit the process or something. Or it might be that let's try this. Okay, so we have load Nuxt here. So let's open up load Nuxt, which is going to be in Kit, and I'm only interested in the pre-built version of it. So we're going to find it here, load Nuxt, and we're going to say load Nuxt, and we're going to load out our options. Now this should indicate, oh, I'll tell you why. This is stupid. The reason this is happening is because actually I'm a bit careless with the timings, and we actually have two functions called load Nuxt. So there's a function called load Nuxt in Nuxt, and there's a function called load Nuxt in Kit. And what's happening is that they are basically one calls the other. And so as a result, it looks like it's the same thing as being called twice, but it's not. So I'm actually going to change the timings plugin to make it clear where it's coming from, if I can. So instead, the function name isn't just going to be the node ID name. It's going to be the node ID name plus the source file, maybe, or the directory. So what we're going to do is say, the problem is we do somewhat expect it to be a like an easy string, but we can change that. Okay, so we have our function name, and what we're going to do is just make this a we're going to escape the string. We actually will be a little bit better. We're going to JSON stringify. Okay, and then what that's going to let us do, we don't need to do that anywhere else. Okay, so that is going to let us log some stuff out, and we can here say that our function name is going to be it's going to include the file name of the source, right? So we have the ID there. So it's going to be ID match packages. Okay, and that should work, I think. So I mean, it will probably produce, like, we're only building we're only doing this for okay, let's try that one more time. Yeah, there we go. So now we have, I'm guessing, yeah, this makes sense, right? Because now it's splitting out Nuxt versus Kit, which is great. Okay, so we want to see then what are our hot paths, and actually resolve pages routes is pretty high compared to something like with log. Now with logs this isn't a function itself which it does really anything. It's time, the time it takes is basically the time it takes to run the function inside of it. So because all it does is basically times the function inside of it. So we can ignore that one. But the build that it runs, like this is the Vite build, so Vite client Vite server. And actually, if you see, like, the whole Vite build is shorter than the process of calling this resolve pages routes utility. And we call it, I guess, several times, twice. So we call it here to determine if there are pages in the project, and if there are, we sort of carry on and enable it. And we call it again in app templates. And so that's going to actually run every time we recompile your templates. So, and then we could call it in other places as well, but it should be cached. So let's see what is taking the time here. Okay, so we're basically logging out, we're identifying what pages there are, and then we resolve the files. Interesting. I wonder how long resolve files takes, because that's basically going to be globby. And I was thinking about using tiny globby, but I think need to wait for it to release a new version, because there was a very serious performance issue here that really really caused some issues. Hey, human, please. Nice to see you. Are you Reaper? No, you're not Reaper. You're human. Okay. So this is taking some time, and I'm guessing. So resolve files. Now resolve files isn't up here. Let's change the length of snapshot we get. So right now we're generating. I put all the shared code in this file, even though it's so we're generating some code, and I'm printing out 10 functions by average time. But let's actually expand that down to 20, and we'll just make that 20. Rebuild. Let's try that again. One good thing about this, of course, is that this is be nice to get these kind of metrics on a PR. They'll also very much vary, but like from one computer to another. So like on Windows, it will be very different from on Linux or on Mac OS, because like file system access is very different in terms of a costliness. But this is a first call. Anyway, so like actually generate routes from files is a lot faster than an only call twice, compared to process template, which can be much higher. Annotate plugins is taking some time. Load Nuxt config. It's also taking a fair amount of time, but it doesn't need to be called that often. It should only be called twice. Install module, again, only happens at the beginning. Some of these things happen a lot, like in a process. And so if we wanted to detect that, instead of automatically exiting after the build was done, we could just run the dev server and then make some changes to some files. So if I were to open the basic fixture, sometimes we have to sort of load it first to anyway cause some stuff to happen. Then let's cause some HMRs. So we're commenting out some lines there. Let's change a component. So if we have a here's a component, basic components. We should have some components there. Let's try this counter. Let's just comment out this line and then back again. Now we're going to kill it, and now we have lots more calls because this has caused a lot more changes to the app. This is going to be something that is maybe much more actionable. And yeah, the templates is absolutely top of the list in terms of what's taking the time. Warm-up dev server is taking some time as well. Resolve app, well, that's basically in line with templates. And process template, again, it's called a lot. Now, it's not all called at once, so it's not like this is stopping the dev server, but these are all things that we can optimize. The ones with lots of calls, makes sense that we call them lots of times. Find path, because that's going to take a fair amount, I think. Let's see what the that's okay. So if we're looking at our top ones here, find path might be one of them. Let's try it if I just revert back to startup time, because that's much easier to measure between changes, to be able to see what difference has happened. So is find path in there? It is. Okay, so we basically have a total time for find path of, oh, intro is not in the total time. It should be. Just not looking enough. Where is it? Well, if find path is 21 times 5, that's should be, oh, it's 100. So it's just beyond the bottom of the list there. Okay, maybe that's not the one to start with. Let's try is directory. Okay. No. I want something that makes a difference and is called a lot. Process template. We can probably speed that up, but that's probably not a generic file taking a long time. That's probably long because some of those just take a long time, so individual templates. Resolve type path, though, that might be something we can make faster. So that's called 21 times. So it has a total time of 470. And process template also has a fair amount of time too. We could show the time it takes to process individual templates simply by enabling a debug mode, and you can see every one of them is logged out. So all the templates are logged here, but they're running, I think, in parallel. So it's not always taking quite as long as it suggests. So it's not additive. Like the total amount of time here is something like 40 milliseconds, 70 milliseconds, rather than those aren't additive, right? Okay, so router options, that's taking a while. Okay, so let's just to make that better, I'm going to go to here, and let's run them sequentially rather than in parallel, because it makes it a lot harder for us to time them. So what we're going to do is for const box of pre-post, oops, for const template of box await process template. Okay, so that's going to do exactly the same thing, but it's going to give us hopefully a better piece of information about individual template costs. So we're going to say filter Nuxt prepack and then run the server. Okay. Oh, we probably want debug again. Interestingly, that didn't really change the startup time. Or if anything, did it make it faster? What is our startup time? Yes, same kind of thing. Okay. So our templates are now sort of compiled sequentially. And because of that, we can see the timings more accurately. So all of this, there we go. Okay, so we have our timings, and let's just filter out all the ones that are less than a millisecond, right? Because those are super fast. We don't need to optimize those. What we see is with the ones left is that the things that take time are these. So interestingly, the type that these two types ones are taking some time, and that's probably because of having to resolve the type paths. But those are definitely things to fix here. So this should be very fast. Oh, it's probably annotating the plugins when it calls them. So it's specifically doing some code processing on the template. Now I'm going to see if it has had any other effects in terms of the timings of our server code. So here, let's make this a little bit. Okay, so let's just have a look. We see that, okay, everything's different. Oh, everything is different because this was against the JIT compilation, so that's not that helpful for us. Let's just paste that in and stick it up there as our new default value. Oh, did I just lose try this one more time. Hey, Saswhite, how is it in Mexico? Okay, so yeah, so we want to optimize these most of all, and then that second, and then yeah. So these are our sort of top priority list of plugins to optimize. Right. So how are we going to do this? Let's find out what is taking the time with plugins. That'll be basically the fact that we are annotating all the plugins here, extracting the metadata from the file system, and actually running a code transform on it. So we might find that we can speed things up by, we will be fine, like it will be much faster because we have this cache, but we might be able to early return if some things are missing. So I think, for example, we should be able to early return if there's no, so if code includes, now this might not make a difference for the for most projects, but basically if it includes this pattern, so there's an opening bracket and then there's a word, character, or a parenthesis, then that tells me that it's not going to be an object syntax plugin. So there's going to be nothing to optimize and nothing to extract. So in that case, we can directly set the metadata to empty. So that's not needed. Okay, so I think that should be able to speed us up a little bit. Let's try that and see if that makes any difference. I need to set debug. This is annoying me. I have to remember next time. So basically we should now, let's see if that's made any difference. But for the Nuxt plugins, we have an object syntax anyway, so it might not, but let's see. We have 22 milliseconds. Okay, it's saved 10. So that might be valid. And servers dropped a little bit too. Not significantly. I think it probably had already cached anything that mattered. Okay, so that makes a slight difference maybe. What else should we be able to do in this file? So the transform and then the pass, this pass and walk is happening and it's taking a fair amount of time, of course. Is it showing up here? No. I think it's probably relatively fast, but it does mean that the whole plugin takes a little bit longer than expected. And the good news, of course, is that this is not run every time in every plugin. So what else might be taking time in here? The sorting, maybe? Seems fine. Okay, that might be a slight optimization we can apply. Okay, let's look and see if there's anything else. So the next one is the roots. So roots, this is going to be to do with scanning that file. And here it is. So we are normalizing roots there. And this is basically, hey, Winter. Okay, we're getting app pages. App pages already set here. We resolve the pages up front. And actually, I think what we ought to do is only do that, not do this on every compile step. In fact, I think we ought to do that a lot of times, because what we're doing is we are, okay, this is maybe a good guide. We're calling update templates in a number of locations. We're just going to exclude Goff and docs for now. Okay, we're calling update templates in a number of times. So the component templates, the imports, and the module. Okay, these things I think we can refactor in terms of how they are being updated. So what we want, so at some point we didn't update the templates every time. And so we specifically needed to call update template. So we don't need to do that anymore. So for a start, I could just probably get rid of this for these ones anyway. And I think that actually probably means that the entirety of this hook is not needed. And then we probably could, in the pages module, drop that. Actually, we can drop all of that as well. So let's just see if that makes much difference. So any difference to startup time, 6:30, similar to before. And it feels like there's a change here. Okay, so what are the changes? So generate types has been moved similar amount of time. Resolve files. I think a certain Nuxt compatibility, this is something we can make faster. Down here in average times, I would expect to have fewer calls of generating. This actually might not make any difference because it runs on HMR. So yeah, it might not show up here at all. That's actually a good point. So yeah, let's ignore that for the moment. And let's figure out a better way of doing this. So we basically do want to listen to this, but what we want to do is, MJS. Now what is regenerating this? So app pages equals this. So that, instead of calling an app templates, we want to call that in builder watch. So we'll call the warning, I guess, in builder watch, right? Because that might be relevant when building. So here, what we would do is say this. We want to resolve the pages routes. That's what we want to do. And so where are we setting? Where can we can access Nuxt app, I guess. Nuxt apps default pages. Yeah, that's not going to work. I think we basically just have to assert it. Let's try that. That's basically going to call this thing, and we've dropped it out of the builder watch. So that should actually be a performance improvement, I think. And it probably makes no difference on the beginning, but it should make difference on reloading a page. So we're going to test that. We're going to test that. So first, let's create a new branch. So we're going to say perf testing improvements, whatever. And we are going to need to okay, first let's update these. So improve debugging plugins. Then we're going to need to test. This is our debug step as well. So test chore process templates serially for debugging. And then we can start adding our perf changes. So perf Nuxt early return from plugin annotation if it doesn't non-object syntax plugins. And then in our module, it is the cat you hear. She is here hoping to be picked up. Hello. Here she is. This is Barley. I wish that you could just be draped around my neck or something, because that would be quite a nice thing. You could be draped around my neck and you wouldn't be in the place of the keyboard. She's very sweet, very lovely. And alternatively, what I could get is like a stool. If she had some kind of way of. Want to come over here? Yeah. Yeah, lap cats. Yeah, she could have a throne. That would be definitely what she would. She would prefer it to be called. Okay. I'm not yet permitted to do anything. This may be a good opportunity for me to grab a cup of tea, because mine is sadly empty. So I will take a break, pet the cat, make the tea, and be back soon. If that's okay with you, feel free to stick around. I shouldn't be more than a couple of minutes. So see you shortly. Hello, I have returned. Oh, rats. I've been talking to people's comments, and it looks like Algora has stopped the chat anyway. Are people still, is it still streaming? Looks like it is. So the chat has just failed. Weird. Okay, we will swap out Algora and restream. Behold the joy of straightforward switches. Okay, so that page has changed. I think this tiny change will make a big difference, because we're basically only updating the pages template when we need to. So that async should make stuff better. So the second thing we can do probably is in the components module, we can do something similar. So we have components plugin, etc. Let's see what they say. So basically filtering some stuff. Is there anything async? So why is this taking any amount of time? Okay, we're not doing any awaiting. So why? So basically, we don't really need to do anything with this. This should be fine. I think there's nothing to do there. As in, it's just synchronously rendering what we've already scanned. So, which is this bit here. It's happening in a template. So what we want to do instead is, and this is also something we might need to do in the module, is that the first time we create the templates, we do have to resolve the pages roots. So we basically need to set that initially, but we might already be doing that. So at pages is let's try that. Oh, we do set it. Okay. But we need to be at some point. Okay, I'll just add a to-do item. To-do initialize on startup. Okay. Ryan, nice to see you. Okay, so that we just drop. I don't think we've got any. These are the ones we basically need to optimize, the ones which are async, so they're doing something. Okay, plugin types. Aha! So really, we shouldn't need to annotate the plugins, right? They should already be annotated. Yeah, we should do that in the same kind of way as. We should do that in the same kind of way as the template. Okay, so move plugin annotation to, yeah, that's fine. Okay, here, types schema. Yeah. This needs updating, and there's a separate thing. Okay, and then to do separate function, and I'm just putting these in mostly because they show up in the git diff, so we'll spot it, and then here. That might be fine, but that's out of our control a little bit. Okay, this we might need to optimize. So great. And am I the only one, by the way, who has this issue with VS Code? So I've just changed this file. It's not showing up here. I have to hit refresh in order to get the stuff that I've changed in the project actually appear in VS Code, which is a total pain. Nerexius, hello. What is with the arbitrary timestamp? 2014, January 25 at 5:58 p.m. What happened then? Is the question that I have. I would think you were a bot, but I know that you're not a bot. I know you, so I don't know what that means. You will have to speak. Tell me what it is. Okay, so it's not just the source control either. So I can have, so I'll show you an example. So imagine I have a file open here. Okay, here's my file. Now I'm going to add something to the file. This is often true, like if I am like doing a v-test and it is updating a snapshot or something. I'm going to add something to this file. So this file is here. Copy relative path. So we're going to echo hey to this file. Nothing. Now the fact is this has changed. This has changed. Oh, Cedric, goodness. Is that right? Was it January? I thought it was October for some reason. But anyway, so this file has changed. Now, if it doesn't know, VS Code doesn't know that this file has changed. So if I go and edit it anymore, we then enter a place where there is a like incorrect. I'll have to merge the changes basically. I have to click refresh here. Still not showing up over here. This has happened. Like this has happened. I have to somehow click that. And now I can see what's at the bottom. This is a terrible thing. It's I don't know what is broken in VS Code, but it is very broken. Like it's a terrible experience when you're doing stuff maybe with snapshot tests or anything else. Stuff changes in the file and it's not reflected in the editor. I mean, that's like the basic thing that an editor needs to do is show you what's in the file. But there we go. So I would be also very happy to work with anyone at VS Code to help figure it out. Okay, so let's pull this annotate and check for circular dependencies thing out of there. Todd, nice to see you. Aha, I see what it is. I'm going to have to somehow view this in probably Twitch. Twitch? There we go. To see the meaning of the emoji. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, it's loaded. Oh, it was just an image was loading thing. Welcome to the chat room. Yeah, no, the thing is, thousands of devs have been affected. When I asked people on Twitter or Blue Sky, I think it was Twitter back then, people were recognizing this was a thing. So VS Code Watcher. There are lots of people talking about it, although this is some time ago. Okay, yes, here's the tweet I put out. this has been going on for a long time. This is back in September. And here's an issue, which is marked as closed. And okay, see if I can, maybe there's some configuration that I need to do. Hello, welcome. So do I have any, oops. This should be interesting. Let's find user settings. So do I have that anywhere? It's not configured at all, so it should still be the default value, but I'll set it to true. Why is that? Okay. So look, I'm following the instructions there. It's telling me that I shouldn't. Instead, I should use VS Code. Well, that's fine. Wait a second. TypeScript TS server watch options. Okay. Watch options. And what should that be? So it is not experimental. You're right, but it's also not really working, right? So my options here are watch file, watch directory, synchronous watch directory, and fallback polling. So what I have some strategies. Watch directory, okay, watch file, use FS events. Like, interesting. So I could tweak it, I guess, but it feels like I've not configured this at all. So if I look for watcher exclude, I used to exclude PNPM, but then they said, make sure it doesn't include node modules. So, okay, I will not exclude node modules, but it's not working. And these files are explicitly included. I actually explicitly added them in. So it's just tricky. Anyway, that's a side thing. Okay, so basically what we want to do is annotate stuff inline. So our pages, we're going to need to, we have app templates. App templates is called here when we're generating the app. So we can also maybe do something when we're resolving the app and basically say, we could do it in app templates as well. So basically set it if it's not defined. So we would do it like this. So Nuxt hook app templates, and basically say if not app pages, then app pages is going to be resolved like that. So it's not destructured. Okay, so that will resolve it the first time, and then after that it will require a change. And this probably we could do hook once, so it only needs to run the first time. There we go. Cool. And let's do the same for the core plugins as well. So we have these templates. And we've actually previously created a whole post templates thing. We probably don't need to do that. Wait a second. Why did we need to do it? Because it needs to be able to annotate other things that have already been added, I think. Yeah, that's true. So we do still need it to be that. But we can do this. When are we adding them? Okay, default templates, and we're adding them like that. I think we can, what could we do? We could basically do it. So at the moment we're doing pre-post. We could also go back to core, the thing that's calling generate app. Where is it? Oh, it's basically in build, I think. So what we want to do here is register some hooks. Yeah, thank you, Todd. That was really nice of you to do. I hope you saw that it's merged. So we are all good. If you go to Unsight, you'll see that it has unsight.dev on the homepage. And then when you go into a repo, it says issue clusters. If you go into a similarity one, it will say similar issues. And that works reactively forward and backward, which is great. So all of that is really helpful. I really appreciate you tackling it. Cool. Whoops. So, okay, so what we want to do is, what were we doing? We were doing it in the plugins. So we need to annotate the plugins and check for circular dependencies. And it makes sense to do that not within the plugin, basically, because it's going to be called every time. But we can basically say, okay, it feels like generating the app is the time to do that. So let's open that. And basically, when do we generate the app? We generate it when we call builder watch. So I think what we probably want to do is say app.plugins equals app.plugins or equals, yeah. Oh, there may be some things we can do. So normalize template. I bet we can, let's see if we can optimize that a little bit. Because I think this, if it's normalized, we don't need to do half of this stuff. Now, I mean, a lot of it is, doesn't do that much, I guess. It's probably safe to do. Okay. So 2x. So basically, in terms of ORM and databases, we're building that into UnJS and into Nitro. So DB0 you can check out. So it supports any SQL databases, and it also supports ORMs, like, for example, Drizzle. And there's some information there. What am I looking for? Yeah, like Drizzle, Keisley, Prisma. And you can see we have some integrations, some examples planned, but you should be able to get it going. Patrick, nice to see you. So yeah, do check that out. Okay, so I guess what we want to do here. So what are we doing? We basically need to annotate the plugins for the plugins that exist and check for circular dependencies for those plugins. So, and we want to do that in our app, in the bit here, actually probably as we are registering the templates. And the tricky thing is that we only want to update this. Actually, we don't want to do it in the app. What am I talking about? Okay, so we're going to generate the app here in the builder. So we're going to say, this is triggering a hard reload. We can say Nuxt hook builder watch. Well, that is, I guess, the hook. So we can just do it here. So annotate plugins, basically. So we want to check if the plugins have changed, basically, if there are any new plugins. I'm wondering about this. Okay, so maybe this is not something to do separately, because after all, we're handling it. We already have a cache, although we are reading the file every time, which I guess we have to do. No. What am I talking about? We can optimize this because we already have our plugins, which we are specifically calling this with, and the plugins are coming from app plugins, and we've set app plugins here. So basically we can, if they have changed, so if new plugins are, we won't know if the file has changed unless we're integrated with the watcher. Okay, let's defer this change for now. And these are all plugin related. Oops. So instead, but I think we can do this in the import module, because we were calling update templates here. And so we're calling that in the regenerate imports path, and regenerate imports, oh no, we're not calling it in there, we're calling it in modify dynamic imports. We're sort of hooking into that. I feel like there's a lot of hooking in. It's definitely something to fix. So yeah, pages we can. I think this is a fair change, much more straightforward, because basically we're requiring pages to be in there, and then we're calling pages extend. So here is page, and update template paths. So it should be this. This is interesting because it's going to update the pages whenever the layouts or the middleware change as well, which might not be fair. This is just generically More paths. Why would it make a difference whether the layouts change? Shouldn't, I guess. So is page... Yeah, Patrick, go for it. What have you done? Okay, let's test this to start with. If anything, it over. Oh, we were going to do the. We did. We added the to do, so that's fine. We can get rid of that. Okay. So basically, we should. Absolutely done. See you later. So we should notice a difference here on reloading. So what we're going to do is basically commit this. So perf update templates reduce unnecessary template updating. Okay, and then we're going to go back in time. So let's go back to here. Okay, and we're going to basically make one, we're going to wait, make one change, and then end the process. So we have our index here, and so we're just going to comment something out and then comment it back in again. So let's try that. So we're going to run our basic fixture, and oops, we need to avoid the immediate exit. So we're going to run our basic fixture, make one change to the code, one, and then end it. And so now we should hopefully be able to see a difference when we call this a second time with the latest changes. So we're just going to pop this into our snapshot. This is what we're going to compare against. Now we're going to go back to the latest. Oh, I do have to rebuild it. Silly me. Let's go back one more time. And we're going to say, let's build it and run it. Okay. Oh, I think I was also logging, not that it matters. One and done. Okay, so we have a set of timings. Copy and paste. And out of curiosity, what were the changes since the last build? Oh, that's come down quite considerably even before we got to this point. So resolve path, still quite high. We should look at that because it's being called a lot, which is why the number is so high. Generate app is 327, 427. Okay, this is a very nice improvement anyway, even before we got to the particular change here. Try it one more time with the latest change. Oh, right, we're making a change. Oops. Well, it shouldn't matter really that I'm commenting something back in rather than out. Although if I were really wanting to make it equal, I would probably. Okay, so what changed? Let's see. Is it better? Let's hope it's better. Okay, generate app. Okay, it's dropped another 100 milliseconds. I would expect to see hopefully that happen more and more, like the more times we called it. Cool. Generate app 887 versus 983. Generate app here 443 versus, let's increase the average time there. Oh, but that's because we're moving some of the code into generate app as opposed to the templates. So I guess annotate plugins shouldn't be, that should be irrelevant. Yeah, small changes are probably totally insignificant, even slightly larger ones, but okay. Well, I think it's a reasonable change to make anyway, as in it makes sense. And I do see that there's some difference here. We can try it again without the debug timing. Let's see, is it the same kind of changes or different? And we see, let's see, build 1506 longer, generate app 846 shorter, called 3 times versus 2 times. Yes, because there's one plugin, one update plugin called it's dropped. Init Nuxt 680, same. Update templates. From, what was it here? It was 56. Oh, obviously we're not calling it at all. So how about generate app is 846 versus it's because it's being called, I think, without much to do previously. So like the total time is 983 versus 846. So it's lower in total, but it's more on average because there's more stuff happening there. Hey Hal, nice to see you. Okay, there's some other things though that we can do based on like average time. Stuff like resolve type path, I think. Resolve normalized module, those install module. These are probably the same time, the same amount of time is attributable to both of them. Resolve router options, interestingly, is also taking a little while. And why it is, I'm not sure. So this is being called 4 times. And actually, we probably don't need to call it 4 times. So it probably should be done in a similar kind of way to the rest of the pages. So we should be able to do something like pass Nuxt to it in the same way we do with pages routes. And we're going to stick this in here. Okay. And what we did with resolve pages routes is that we might not need Nuxt. But we set it on app, on Nuxt app's default, right? So yeah. Okay, so I think we can generalize this out and make a watcher pattern for it. So basically this should be called afresh only every time that okay, we'll basically do this. could do that. This is a tricky one. I don't think we need to pass Nuxt to it. We're in this place already. Bruno, nice to see you. I'm sorry, I'm just sitting here. So, yeah, so what am I actually doing? So we could cache it on the app instance. That would be a possible thing to do, because otherwise this is going to get called every time. So that would be one thing that we could do to improve this, because it's obviously this number is going to keep on increasing. But let's before we do that, let's go to find path, because that's being called a lot more, and I think there's more of an opportunity to optimize that. So first, so let's go to find path and figure out why this is taking so long. So we have find path, which is here, and what are we doing? Okay. So basically, we're resolving a path. Yeah, I spotted this before. So this is doing some duplicated work. So you'll notice like this is already occurring here. So it's already checking if it exists and returning it. And so it's returning it here, but we've already done the thing. So we're doing it again. Now, probably there's some cached stuff going on. But I wonder if there's a way to decrease the necessary time. We can see if that's possible. So we're going to create a little async function. We'll call it resolve path and sort of granularly. And we'll have the same options, I guess, and we won't return a string, but we'll return all of this. And the one thing that this does at the end is whether we fall back to the original or not. Or to the normalized option. So at this point, I think what we want to do is say return a normalized path, and that is going to be this one here. So that's the normalized path. And we either are going to return, therefore, a string, which will be a valid path, I guess, has been validated, or we're going to return a normalized path string. All right, those are our options. I'm going to update this as I go, but okay. So we should therefore be able to replace this next bit here with this path opts, and then at the end here, return the normalized input if it's not. So if type of res equals string, return res otherwise, and we're going to fall back to the res normalized path. Okay, so that we've just refactored this out, but now this function returns more granularity, which we can use in find path, but it should be the same. So we're going to filter, we're going to rerun kit, and then we're going to run our basic fixture, and we are going to go back and re-enable immediate exit, so we get a sort of reproducible environment. Okay, so what we see happening here, we're interested in find path, right? So find path is happening there. How is it already faster? Seems, is it working? Have we broken it somehow? Okay, so it was, it shouldn't be any faster. We have literally just moved some code around. Oh, we've done the opposite thing. So what we should have done is fall back to the original, returns the original path, like this. Right. Does that change anything? Still quite fast, actually. I don't know why it's so much faster than... Oh, probably because we're calling it fewer times. So this is just the startup test, and it's not as many times as in the templates. No, it's fine. We can optimize it this way, and then hopefully there'll be a knock-on consequence. So currently, total find path time is 94 or 100 or something. So that's the kind of time it's taking. So here we have, we are resolving the path. Now we don't know if it exists, but I think if it comes back with a string, it exists. So this resolve path will fall back to null if it doesn't exist. We're checking whether it exists. We're checking whether it exists. So we're checking every single time, and we don't return a string unless we know it exists. So we could add some details as to whether it exists in the VFS or not. And this other path type thing, I don't think we handle that. Having said that, I think we could remove the this check. So instead of resolve path, we're going to resolve path granularly, like this. And basically drop this. So if res return, if type of res is string, then we can return it directly. Now this we need to add in support for this, so the path type concept. So we're going to pass this in as another option to our new function, like this. And we're going to support that up here. So we're checking if it exists. I think we can optimize this even more. Ponky, nice to see you. I loved France. It was really lovely to be there. Samir, nice to see you too. It was, yeah, nice to see you at the meetup. Yeah, this is definitely the easiest, fastest approach. Are we setting is there anywhere else? No. So I think we can simplify that. So we're just saying is there is right, so that is the same, I think. Oh, I see, we're simplifying it because if it's not a directory, we'll directly return it. I see. So basically what we're saying is if the file doesn't exist, I don't think we should. Okay, try the extensions. And try the, this we should only do, yeah, we should only do this if it is in fact directory. Okay, yeah, that is making more sense to me now. Okay, so I'm sorry, thinking. Okay, so yes, it was punky. Sorry about that. Did I release the fix, or is it the next patch? It's the next one, isn't it? I'll release it this week. I'm working on improving performance. So I think we can return this directory thing. Okay, so basically, here we go. So we can return, let's add some information on what we're returning, because we're getting a lot of info as we go, and some of it we can use and not do a second time. So we'll say interface granular path resolution, and basically it's going to have a normalized path as a string, and it's going to have path. So is it a directory? Or maybe type file or directory, and anything else? So virtual maybe. Okay. So what do we have? So at this point we know that it exists and it's not a directory. So we can return, we can return path. That will be normalized, right? So we'll return a normalized path. It's going to be file, type file, and it's not going to be a virtual path. Okay, now why is this? Oh. Pop it there. Okay, so here we're going to return something similar. Virtual true. And it's, I guess so. Yeah, the VFS only has files. I'm really glad to hear that. Okay. Cool. So we have some more stuff to return down here. So, oops. And here. Okay, actually it's interesting because we're never going to return a directory from here, right? So the question, I guess, is more, okay, so yeah, we're never going to return a directory. So if we're never going to return a directory, then the check that we're doing down here doesn't make sense, because it's never going to return. This is only finding path. So that means that we can basically drop that. And also we don't use it in Nuxt anywhere. So I don't know if anyone else is using it. But it's, yeah, so that's weird. So, okay, let's look at the history here. Line history. How long has this option been there? And why did we add it, right? So that's not actually the history of it. So I want to find the let's try this. Okay, so we have, so what did Puyo change here? We have resolve path, yeah. Resolver, where's find path? Still there, okay, let's find here. Expose resolve path. Okay, this adds it. Interesting, okay, so that added it. Let's trace down the line then. Okay, so we have find path here. Interesting, it has no path type. Okay, so where is the path type added to it? Weird. Where did this change? So this line history I would expect to be weird. I would expect the line history to show me the this maybe? Is that? Where is that? Okay, file history. Let's just zoom it back. Fall back to normalized path. Yeah, fine. Handle virtual files. Could this have changed it? No. Add to array. Find path. Still there. Find path. Okay. Find path. Find path. Find path. Find path. Aha. Find path. Find path. Okay. So this is where it was added. It was added in this particular added in this particular one, which is here. Why was it added, right? So that must be used somehow in this PR. And actually this particular one, it doesn't match, so it must be from the old Nuxt framework repo. 3485, so Nuxt framework, pull 3485, and we should see this. So find path, and we are looking weird. So basically this feature was added and it's never been used in Nuxt. So Bombastic, nice to see you. This is very strange. Okay, so I'm very tempted to get rid of the functionality in honesty, except that it is technically a public API. So we can at least optimize for not using it. So if I open up that path again, which is here, right? Find path. So we have path type. So rather than pass it on every iteration, we can, I'm not even sure it ever worked is the thing, because basically this is always going to return our option. So yeah, so filedir or unknown, or no, just filedir, right? So basically we are going to say if it exists, yeah, that's fine. Exists in VFS, then virtual. And the same there. And then we do the same here. I think we need to, we're going to, I'm going to work this slightly because this is a lot of duplicated code. Okay. Okay, and then our resolved module path, I guess we don't know this. So this should point to a file, but I guess we might not know for sure. So I'll just leave it empty for the moment. So this should be, we'll just omit it. And I guess virtual we can omit like as well. And there we go. So basically, this is only ever going to return files, except for this one place where we're not quite sure, which is there. So what it means is that by the time we get here, we should know that this exists in the file system. So everything, we don't need to test that basically. Now exists sensitive checks that it is case sensitively resolved. And I guess it's a little bit more costly in terms of the test. So I guess we can try that. Okay, so if it's not string, oh, it's not going to be a string. Oh yeah, that's right. So we actually have to indicate whether it's resolved or not. So what we're going to say is this will be a file as well, I guess. So if res type is file, isn't file, then we continue on our array. If it is, then we're going to check it. Does it exist? Path. It won't be a directory because we have already checked that. So basically this we can get rid because it never worked. I think that's the thing. So I think we can just say if it exists sensitively, then we return it like that. That should be fine. So now, having done all of this, we're not using any of it. So we're not accessing virtual, right? So this is not a, if res virtual, there we go. That's fine. Okay, let's see if this makes any difference to our snapshot. Ooh, hello, it does make a difference. It's not working. So basically, we were having an issue resolving a module some kind. Why would that have failed? So, oh, because it's never going to be a string. So what are we going to say? If res type is file, return res path. There we go. If fallback to original, we're going to say, yeah, okay, that's better. Okay. Now, let's see if this made any difference at all. This is where you very much hope that it makes a difference, right? Having spent some time making some changes. Okay, so first let's see what did load in at Nuxt 622. That's the same it was before. Wait a second, this is much faster. How is this so much faster? This is much faster. I guess we're just basically... Okay, resolve files. What was that before? So our average, how's our average? How is this possible? Our average has gone down to 78. basically just totally, I guess because we're using find path everywhere. Okay, so find path was 1439. Is there a find path now? 4! And it's called much less. This is so much better. Okay, if it actually worked, let's make sure. Basically, the fastest thing is to create an erroring project. So let's check, does it work? Yeah, it does. Okay, this might be a good one. This might be a good one, people. I am loving that. Like, that totally changes the whole thing. This is great. This is great. Now, resolve type path is still quite high, but it's not changed. Install module, resolve path granularly, like all of these things are still there. But, oh, no, install path granularly, that's our new utility. And that has gone up, obviously, because that's where it's happening. So 368195. We should compare that with 368. Okay, so it's still faster, and it's not just being called obviously by find path, but also by resolve path. So, but it's still much faster than both of them. Okay, I like it. Let's see if we can push this up. Virtual. Now, and honestly, this exists sensitive thing for find path, it's basically about case sensitivity on Windows. So I wonder almost if we could avoid the check on case sensitivity on Mac as well. Mac is not case sensitive. Mehmet, I would love it if they were processed in GitHub PRs. I think it would be a really good idea. I've started doing that recently. So if you have a look at Nuxt CLI, I've added some workflows. So if you have a look at maybe one of my PRs, like, it's not perfect because it only works currently on a PR made by a maintainer of the project, but I have bundle size changes, so you can see the difference. You can see a detailed bundle breakdown, stuff that is quite useful to know. It's not a sort of pass-fail thing. Like in this case, we're adding some extra code, so we expect that it's going to increase the size. But something like that would be really nice for the timings for Nuxt. So I am just extremely pleased. I am very, very pleased with the massive impact of this particular change. And I don't think it's changed the... okay, we can simplify this, right? Rather than... like this should be simpler, maybe. Type is always going to be file unless you get to the end, and we don't know what it is. So we could create a little function, which is something like function format granular return, and it's going to be a path, a string, a virtual boolean, and that is what it's going to return. That's great. And so we're basically just going to say path true. False. Also, the exist sync, etc. This test is done several times. Let's rework that. So instead, let's say something like, so this is the test that we're performing. So we're saying we need an ops. Okay, so basically we're saying if it exists, then we're going to return this. If it also exists here, then we are going to return this. Okay, and then if it doesn't return one, then we know it isn't met. So if const res is await format granular return, oh, promise. Now this might actually make a difference negatively by forcing it to be a promise, but we'll see. Okay, so if res return res. Oh, I have a call. I must go. Thank you everybody for joining me. It's been so much fun as always, and I will hope to catch up with you all later. This shouldn't be the last time this week for sure. So farewell.